Thank you, everyone. And good evening to all of you here who are part of this convention. And I pray and I hope that you have great time here tomorrow. And my friend Rajiv and some of my friends I'm seeing here. So thank you so much for inviting me here. Okay, I'm going to say good evening again because that's how I'd started the speech. Good evening, everyone. Okay, so let me say it at the outset, it's really scary here. Yeah, genuinely, the biggest managers of the biggest corporations and the biggest convention for management, AIMA. नाम ही ऐसा लगता है ना, डराता है कि AIMA, AIMA. Really, it's a sad reflection that in such an august company of people and such a collection of skill set as all of you are, big business houses and managers, all you could manage was to get a speaker from Bollywood to speak at the convention. Economy must be really bad. But who am I to speak about the economical downtrend across the globe, etc., or anything else for that matter? Just reading the topics being discussed before I came on stage, I was frightened. And if I'm allowed to say so, shit scared. I couldn't understand a word. Let me tell you one of the discussions they had earlier on in the day. Could financialization of commodities be used to incentivize supply growth without inflating prices? Okay, if you say so. Or no, if you guys are in a bad mood. Whatever you say. The other one, managing liquidity, supply crunch, risk of NPA, CSR mandate, CEOs, COOs, CFOs, UFOs. Mind-boggling and numbing for a person like me who can just about say corporation management. And the topic that my friend Shiv told me is I have to speak about courage in this scared state and ill-informed mindset. But here I am, and so are all of you wonderful people. बाद में गुफ्तगू कर लेंगे, बहुत बात कर रहे हो आप लोग यहाँ पे यार. Okay. I wish you a great convention and a happy economy. And I want to thank my friend Shiv. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak in front of such an extraordinary amazement of grey matter. All of you highly successful, perhaps the most successful people in the world. And he's chosen me to give you a speech on success. Am I the only one who's seeing this irony here? Or are you all too busy holding back your laughter as to what I will say here? Apart from my lack of knowledge and fear, the only other problem is that I'm really not good at giving discourses on how to succeed. I'm not good at this because I don't really know. What can I say to you, highly motivated people, that you don't already know about life, business, and success? So I will bore you with a few details of my life and how I got to be a movie star, and mainly talk about success and how it came to be for me. Let me forewarn you, this is a recycled speech. Whenever I'm called to give speeches at YPO and some such organizations, I use this speech. It's generic, it is simple, and makes me give no commitment in a first meeting. Somewhat like the corporate world itself. The biggest problem with success is that any narrative of success is bound to be at least a little bit dull because it's not your story. I have sat down with people who tell me their stories of success, and I'm like, man, get out of here. I don't want to hear this. If I want to feel jealous, I will see some other actor's successful film. I don't need the story of your life. Second, and more importantly, successful people are almost never able to pinpoint what it was that made them so. Take Warren Buffett. If I pronounce Warren Buffett, that's how you say his name? Warren Buffett, right? Okay. Here's a guy who must get asked 5 times a day how he became the most successful investor of his era. His answers, reinvest your profits, limit what you borrow, are no different from what any fool could tell you. Buffett isn't being cagey. He simply doesn't know. Success is a wonderful thing, but it tends not to be the sort of experience that we learn from. We enjoy it, perhaps we even deserve it, but we don't acquire wisdom from it. And maybe that's why it cannot be passed on either. Me being successful does not mean my children will also be so. How much ever I teach them what all I did in my life, and even if they follow it to the letter. Success just happens, really. So talking about how to become successful is a waste of time. Instead, let me tell you very honestly, whatever happened to me happened because I'm really scared of failure. I don't want as much to succeed as much I don't want to fail. I come from a very normal lower class, middle class, lower middle class family, and I saw a lot of failure. My father was a beautiful man and the most successful failure in the world. My mom also failed to stay with me long enough for her to see me become a movie star. We were quite poor actually. At certain junctures of our lives, I have even experienced what is called in Delhi a kurki. I don't know how many of you know about it. This is a thing that the government does when you don't pay the rent of your house and they throw you and your stuff on the roads. Let me tell you, poverty is not an ennobling experience at all. Poverty entails fear and stress and sometimes depression. I had seen my parents go through it many times. It means 1,000 petty humiliations and hardships. At an early age after my parents died, I equated poverty to failure. I just didn't want to be poor, and that's God's honest truth. So when I got a chance to act in films, it wasn't out of any creative desire that I signed my films. It was just purely out of the fear of failure and poverty that I signed most of my initial films. Most of them were discards of actors, and the producers could not find anyone else to do them. Deewana, which was my first big hit, was actually discarded by an actor called Arman Kohli. Bazigar was rejected by Mr. Salman Khan, and Dar was negated by Mr. Amir Khan. I did them all just for making sure that I was working to avoid unemployment. The timing or something was right, and that made them happen, and I became a big star. I asked Mr. Dilip Kumar Saab one day, we were watching Devdas together, and I asked him, I said, sir, ye picture aapne jo ki hai, itni achhi acting. I had made my version of Devdas, so I was presenting it to him, and I said, ye picture aapne ki hai, sir, bahut achhi hai. Kyun kiya aapne? Aapko ye character kyun acha laga? And he looked at me and he said, pata nahi yaar, bas thoda sa, kya tha wo, Bimal da 1 lakh rupees de rahe the mujhko. So that was the only reason he did Devdas. At that point of time, of course, he's the greatest actor the world will ever see. But at that point of time, that's all he wanted. Which means sometimes our successes, or success is not a direct result of actions. It just happens on its own, and we take the credit for it, out of embarrassment sometimes. So I believe the true road to success is not just the desire for success, but a fear of failure. I tell everyone, if you don't enjoy and be scared of your failure hard enough, you will never succeed. I'm not going to stand here and tell you that failure is fun, but I will insist and hope that all of us should experience failure in some measure. The extent of what each one of us perceives failure may differ, as it should. But I believe one needs to pass through some stages of failure if they really want to succeed. So how does failure help? I'm sorry, this is what I teach my kids, so please, if it sounds a little novice and silly, excuse me. First and foremost, it's not the absence of failure that makes you a success. It is your response to failure that actually helps to buffer the reverses that you experience. I, for one, have 2 responses to failure. First is pragmatism, a recognition and belief that if one approach does not work, then the other will or might, as you might do in business too. The second response is fatalism. I fool myself that it was bound to happen and I need to move on, not get caught up in the oft-repeated question, God, why does it happen to me? It happened, move on, it's wrong. Failure also gives me an incentive to greater exertion, harder work, which invariably leads to later success in most cases. Failure is an amazing teacher. If you don't fail, you will never learn. And if you don't learn, you will never grow. There is a well-known story of a bank president who was asked the secret of his success, and he said, right decisions. How do you get to know how to make right decisions? Came the follow-up question. Experience was the answer. Well, how do you get experience? Asks his interrogator. Wrong decisions, he replied. Sometimes it has also taught me to stop pretending that I'm someone else than what I'm supposed to be. It gives me a clear-cut direction that, hey, maybe I'm not supposed to be doing this. Let me just concentrate on finishing and doing things that really matter to me, that define me, instead of following a particular course that actually is taking me away from what really my core liking is. KKR, my cricket team, and Shiv knows this, is one such example. Till friends like him gave me an advice, I was doing everything. When I took the advice, got myself a CEO, a whole new department, and the job, I think, has been handled much better than I was. And I'm ready to accept that. Failure also gets you to find who your real friends are. The true strength of your relationships only gets tested in the face of strong adversity. I lost a lot of friends post Ravan, apart from losing a lot of audience too. And post Chennai Express, which you've mentioned, I'm happy to tell you, though I haven't made any new friends, I have a whole new set of enemies, which is interesting to know too. Regular failures also have taught me empathy towards others. Being a star, it is easy to be prone to the notion that I'm superior, self-sufficient, and fantastic, instead of realizing that I was just plain lucky or got some lucky breaks. Overcoming some of my failure has made me discover that I have a strong will and more discipline than I suspected. It has helped me have confidence in my ability to survive. So all in all, I think failure is a good thing. Won't bore you with more details how failure is a good thing, because you won't call me back again for a talk on success. But would like to tell you all that life is not just a checklist of acquisitions, attainments, and fulfillments. Your qualifications and CVs don't matter. Jobs don't matter. Instead, life is difficult and complicated and beyond anyone's control. And the humility to know that by respecting your failures will help you survive its vicissitudes. There is the greatest practical benefit in making a few failures in life. I say making because failure is not an exterior force. I believe it happens due to our own actions, our own reactions, in such convoluted ways sometimes that we may not understand, but we are the reason for it. So don't be weighed down by it. Relish it, cherish it, the experience, and learn from it. By experiencing all and accepting it, will you experience success, not in isolation of life's full offerings. Let me conclude by saying that my hope for you is a lifelong love of learning, exciting and inspiring projects, dreams, businesses, profits, deals,